As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner YouGov offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more. Success with the World Championship, but then success also outside of gaming for Riot. And I think this is a particularly interesting story. And the headline here is Arcane reaches the top spot on Netflix in 38 countries. So the newest series, it's this collaboration between Riot and Netflix. Arcane, it debuted as the top series on Netflix in 38 countries. You've had a bunch of streamers. There's this article, League of Legends and Twitch streamers fuel latest Netflix hit. You had a bunch of streamers, including XQC, stream the show live and watch it live on their streams. According to this, Arcane, though, other than Netflix, got 130 million views in China and was the most searched item on Tencent's streaming site on Bilibili. And so, again, it's one of these where it's like the numbers are huge on Netflix. We don't have specific numbers. I couldn't find at least. But we have for China massive viewer numbers, and we know that it's the top series in 38 countries. Anyone surprised that Netflix has been as successful with media and content as it was with the games themselves?
You mean Riot?
Right. Sorry. Riot. Jeff,
I don't
yeah,
know
go ahead.
I think this is important, though. I mean, I think for me, this is a bigger story than the one we did about Worlds. Like, we expect Worlds to be huge every year, break records, set records, have a lot of viewership. For me, if I'm Riot and like thinking about the events, this past month, like, this is a way more important milestone and achievement for Riot, because it's something different. It brings them a whole new leg to the company. And if you look at kind of some of the prior transmedia projects we've had in the industry, like notably The Witcher success on Netflix, really reinvigorated sales of that game, increased the player base, brought new people in, and did a lot of great things for that franchise. So like, if I'm Riot, this is, I don't want to say one's more important than the other, but to me, I think they're probably, if they had, gun to their head, this was a bigger accomplishment by far than the World success.
Jeff, can I just push a bit? And I'm reading between the lines a little bit of your comment, which is it fair to say, like, you brought up The Witcher as another example. Is the success here because of the great Riot IP in your mind and the Riot fan base and the League fan base? Or is it just, do you think the success factor is Netflix here, right? Netflix knows how to make a great series, knows how to produce content that people want to watch, right? And it seems they're the common denominator in at least the two examples here. I'm curious where you ascribe sort of.
So I have to answer this question with a few questions, because I don't.
Yeah.
I haven't watched Arcane yet, so I don't know. But also, did Netflix make this? Like, I don't know who actually produced this. Was it internally produced by Riot? Was it a third party?
It was I'm like, from what I've watched, so I watched the entire thing. I watched the pre-show and all that. They didn't speak of anything about like working with Netflix and their production team. It seemed like it was all Riot and Netflix's delivery machine. That's the vibe I got. I could be incorrect in that.
I don't know. All I can tell you is everywhere I've read about it, it says co-created. So read into that as you will. I have a funny feeling Netflix did have some hand in this. I don't think this was delivered to Netflix as sort of a fully baked, here you go, run it. But does that change?
Well, that would change. Yeah, well, because if it was produced clearly, mainly by Riot, then it would be hard to say that this was, Netflix bringing this success. Obviously, they have the pipes, they have the distribution, they have the network, they recommend it to people, stuff like that. So without Netflix, maybe some of this wouldn't be possible, but like if they didn't actually produce it and create it, then you're gonna have to give the credit to Riot. So hopefully someone in chat can like Google that and let us know. But I think it's due to the Riot universe, the League universe, the characters, and what they've built. And this opens up new doors for that. And I think, Goyo, I always take a compliment. So I think Goyo had a great point here.
He says, I likes Jeff's take that the show's success is more important, opens the door for a whole new stream of revenue. No question here, right? This is a reason why we're talking about this at the start of the show. But where I'm trying to get at, and it's a little bit shades of Epic Apple kind of fight here, right? Which is, how critical is the delivery mechanism in the success of these things? How critical is the distribution channel in the success of these things? Like, could Riot have been successful with content, with media like this, without Netflix?
100%, I think. You don't think the numbers might have been a little lower just because Netflix has the biggest network, but you don't think if this was on Disney Plus, they would have had like, okay, maybe 30% less people because Disney Plus is like 30% smaller or whatever the number is than Netflix. But like, there's no way that people were like, oh, like I only am watching this because it's on Netflix.
I don't know. I'm curious to get Lindsay's take on this one.
This is more of a Netflix question, streaming question than an esports question. But yeah, I'm curious what everyone else thinks.
Yeah, so this is one where I actually at first thought, no, this would be successful anywhere. But then I think about, I don't know, I still feel like Netflix has a sticking power. Netflix is still the most dominating streaming service. I still feel like if it was on another platform, it might not be as successful. And I still think that the Netflix distribution machine is better than a lot of the other streaming services. And Jeff, I disagree with you. I totally think people would just kind of watch it because it's there. Like my nephew watches the Skyrim show, and he has no clue what Skyrim is.
There's a Skyrim show?
I think it's Skyrim. I swear it's Skyrim. No, it's not The Witcher. It's a kid's show.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't even know.
Sure.
Robert, hello. Great to have you here, by the way.
Yes, hi Robert. But he watches it because it's there. Like he doesn't know what the game is. And I have a feeling like there's a decent culture on Netflix of like sort of off the beaten path type of shows that sort of pop up. And I definitely feel like things like The Witcher could be lumped into that. I think the gaming audience is more powerful, but I do think that there's sort of like an eccentricity factor that people go for with Netflix. I mean, we saw it with like the Great British Baking Show totally taking off in the US when it got put on Netflix. So I still think that there might be like a little bit of magic in the Netflix subscriber base that helped this be successful.
Guys, I have one last, Chris says, by the way, it's the top 10 today. I'd say it was more Riot than Netflix. Yeah, look, what it comes down to, I think where this gets settled is if Riot can have another hit like this, right, then maybe it's more clear, right? One maybe a novelty kind of thing.
It's crazy because like if you look at IMDb and you're looking at Rotten Tomatoes has 100% right now. IMDb, it's the highest rated Netflix original series ever.
Really?
That's wild.
Ever, more than anything Netflix has ever created. So it's kind of ridiculous.